around right in the middle of the road right in front of me. And I said, then you didn't stop when I turned my lights on. He's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, I'm just bringing some friends home. I said, well, and I could smell it at this point. I smell alcohol. I smell marijuana. And I said, all right, well, where y'all coming from? He said, we went to Reggie's. I said, how many people you got in the car with you? And he was like, oh, just my friend. And he keeps moving his hand. I said, dude, do you have any weapons on you or in the car? He's like, I ain't got no weapons. And he turns around. He's got his hands up. And I said, just put your hand on the car for me. Stop moving around so much. And he had handed me his ID. And I said, how much have you had to drink tonight? And he said, I just had one beer. I said, well, okay, well, when? He said, earlier tonight. I said, all right, well, that shouldn't affect you. I said, is there something else going on? He was like, no. And then the guy started moving around in the car. And I said, are there any weapons in the car? He's like, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, no, I don't think so. I said, does anybody in there have a weapon? He said, I don't think so. And then I said, okay, just stand right here. And I have my door open. And I have my computer open. So I start to put the number to his thing in. And I see him start to slowly put his hands down towards his waist. I said, put your hands on the hood where I can see him. So he looks at me. He's like, all right, all right. And he keeps looking back at the car, So I'm trying to watch him and them at the same time. And they're both in my point of view. And I'm trying to put the numbers in. And then he starts to put his hands down again. I said, put your hands on the hood. And he just bolts. Now, when he runs off, I come around the corner of my door, and I grab my taser, and he goes to the opposite side on the passenger side, front and rear door, and opens up both the doors and says, now, now. And I don't know at this point what's happening. He leans in, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to get shot. I backed up, and at some point, and I don't remember how or when, I transitioned and grabbed for my weapon. I noticed that this door opened on this side, and now there's a guy going out this way towards me. And I backed up to the left, and he's heading towards me this way, and I backed up to the right, and I said, stop, stop, stop. And he had something in his hand, but he had his other hand back. And he was a big guy, and there was just something that wasn't right. And he starts coming towards me, and I backed up, and I don't know if I tripped or purposely took a knee, or I don't know how it happened, but at some point I fired, and I don't know if I had hands on him at that point. I know we were close, and I don't know what happened once we got on the ground, but I knew that he still had something in his hands because he was over his hands like this, and I said, drop it, drop it. And he's like, I don't want to mess it up. And I can't, and I know that the other two are now out of my sight. I don't know where they are. So I have my weapon up in my left hand, and I'm trying to grab for his right hand, and I see that there's still somebody else in the car. So I'm trying to shake his hand to figure out what he has, and I have my knee on his back at this point. He was like, I can't move. And I was like, just be still. And I keep trying to, I said, just drop it. And he was like, I don't want to mess it up. And I hear it, something hitting the ground now that I'm moving his hand. It's banging. And I'm trying to look down, but it's dark, and I'm on the other side of the car, and I'm still trying to watch this guy. So I just start shaking it as vigorously as I can, and something flies out to the other side. And he's like, oh, my phone. And I'm trying to hold his hand behind his back, and I'm kneeing on it, and I'm telling it, and then the driver, or the passenger, starts moving around in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get out. So I grabbed this guy, and I don't know how, I handcuffed him with one hand, and then I don't know what happened from there. Somehow I got the other handcuff on him, and the other guy started moving some more. And in the academy, they always tell us they're going to aim at the vehicle. So at that point, I moved off to the side, and I still had my gun on him, and I held it with my right hand. And I was like, all right. He's like, I didn't do nothing. Why are you waving a gun at me? I didn't do nothing. I just stood here. And I was like, get out of the car, get on your knees, turn around. And I cuffed him, and I told him, I was like, look, he's like, I didn't do anything. I said, look, for my safety and yours, I'm going to detain you, okay? I'm just going to put you in the back of my car. I said, who are those guys? He said, I don't know. I don't know who they were. I don't know. I said, well, what's going on? So I asked the guy on the ground, why did you run at me? And he was like, you tased me, bro. You tased me. And I was like, and then Burnell got there. And at this point, then I put the other guy in the back of my car, and I don't know what happened and how everything happened from there. I knew I was bleeding, and I could feel the blood going down my legs, and I felt blood on my hands, and I didn't know, what had happened with my hands. And I don't know at what point and how much interaction he and I had at that point, but he just kept saying he was tased. I know he saw me with the taser coming out because he came from the other side, and that's when I transitioned. He was already on top of me at that point, or coming towards me. So it was like, I know he saw I had a taser in my hand. So I think that's why he thought that he was tased at that point instead of taking a shot. But I don't know how it all happened and how close we were and all that stuff, but I know that we were close.
Okay. I want to kind of go back to the beginning and go walk completely through, and I'll kind of expound on some of the things that you said that I wanted to get a little bit more detail and clarification on. Let's go back to when you're patrolling and you see the vehicle do some kind of traffic infraction that gets your attention. Where exactly was that location?
That was right before the intersection of Perkins and Segan, right in front of the Jack in the Box and Rite Aid. It was like there's a little side road that goes to Winn-Dixie right there.
Okay.
So he could have turned at any point into any of these driveways at that point to turn around.
So is that westbound on Segan?
Yes.
So you're westbound on Segan?
No, I was westbound on Perkins.
I'm sorry, my bad. You're westbound on Perkins, west of Segan.
East of Segan.
East of Segan, okay, on the Potwin side of Segan.
Yes.
Okay, and then he does that strange maneuver. When you do that, where are you when you call the stop in?
I had just made the flip.
Okay. What radio did you use to call the stop in?
I think it was my base radio.
Your mobile radio in your unit?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
You think you're somewhere on Perkins near Segan when you called it in on your mobile radio?
Yes.
Okay. So you spin around, and I've seen that, I've traveled that location, and you're right, there are plenty of avenues for that vehicle to pull over. But this vehicle, the driver chooses to pull on Potwin and behind that strip mall or whatever that happens to be.
No, I'm saying instead of making that violent turn in the middle of the roadway, he could have
I see what you're
turned
saying.
into Rite Aid and then made the loop and come through, or he could have turned into Jack in the Box and made the loop and come through. There was no reason for the erratic movement right in front of me when it happened.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm with you.
So that was the only thing that was like, something's not right
Okay.
here.
So
And that's when I called, because I was making the flip to go behind him.
Okay, so you see it while you're on patrol. You're moving in your vehicle on Perkins Road, east of Segan, traveling west. You see this infraction, and you radio it in on your mobile radio inside your unit. You spin around and you go and make a traffic stop, and then he stops over there behind that business. So the driver, you make contact. When you got out of the car, what do you have on you at this point? Are you wearing your department issued uniform? Okay. What are you carrying? Are you wearing your vest? Did you have your department issued firearm with you?
Yes.
Did you have a backup firearm?
No.
How do you carry your taser? Do you have chemical agents, a baton?
Yes.
You have all that.
Yes.
You have chemical agents, baton,
Yes.
taser,
Yes.
and firearms. So you have all kinds of use of force stuff that you can use. So, and you keep that all on your belt. Is it in the front? Is it hard to get to?
No, my taser is the first thing that I grab for every
Okay.
time, and I know that that's not always the biggest habit.
I've watched you as you do this, and you've mentioned you've shown a couple times with right hand and left hand. On this particular stop, you mentioned when you went to your taser, did you use your right hand or your left hand?
I don't remember.
Okay, and that's if you don't remember, I don't want you to guess. I want you to, if you know what it is, tell me. If you don't know what it is, then just tell me you don't know, and we'll move on. I don't want you to have to say something that may or may not be accurate.
Okay.
So you make the traffic stop, and you get the driver out, and he comes to your side. I'm trying to figure out where you mentioned that you've got him. He's got his hands on the hood, and you're trying to run him. So you're back in your driver's side. You have the door open, so you're trying to run him on the MDT. Okay, so you got him. You got occupants in the vehicle. How many people are in the vehicle? Can you tell?
I think there's 4 more, but I'm not sure because they're all moving around in the back, and the whole thing is moving. The whole car's kind of moving while I'm sitting there.
4 in addition to the driver?
I believe at that time, but then later could see that there was 3 in the car, plus him
Okay.
would be the 4th one.
Okay, so there's multiple people in the
Yes.
vehicle in the front and the back seat.
Yes.
So the driver gets out.